Hello, good afternoon and welcome everybody. My name is James.
And my name is Jo, and thank you very much for joining us on this incredibly hot day, James. How are you faring?
Oh, it's well, I'm in York in the UK for those of you listening abroad, and it's just hit 40 degrees, which will be a record for the UK, well, not just York, but record temperature in the UK. So, yeah, a little bit warm today, Jo, but I think we've got a hot session coming up on the Retained Recruiter show today.
We have, yeah. So we're talking recession. We've been asked to do it for a couple of weeks now. I don't think there's any putting it off. So we're going to talk you through how to recession-proof your recruitment business, aren't we, James?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really hot topic. I was actually on a different webinar as a guest, not as a guest, sorry, I should say. I was as a participant last week, and this topic is hot. So, in terms of everybody seems to be talking about it, and I've had a few people say, oh, are we talking ourselves into a recession? But, what goes up often comes down. So I think we've got to look at some of the things that are happening in the marketplace. And the webinar I was on, it was actually, the guest speaker, which actually attracted me to it, is a guy called Neil Carberry. And for those of you in the UK, you'll know Neil Carberry as being the chief executive of the REC, the Recruitment and Employment Confederation. For those of you outside of the UK, that makes him quite a big cheese in the world of recruitment. He's a very experienced recruiter and industry expert. And he was also talking about the fact that, he said, I think he said, only a charlatan would say to you they know the scale of it. He said, but he said, I think we all know that there's one coming. How deep it will be, we don't know, but everybody, all the indicators are that there's something coming. So we want to talk about some of the topics which you should be considering if you're running your own business, which we hope you are running as a recruitment business owner.
Well, yeah, I saw a brilliant thing by Mark Whitby today. Actually, he was talking about the three types of business owners. So your director, your business owner director, your billing manager, but then also as a recruiter. And I think that all of us have an opportunity now to forewarned is forearmed. It's not as if this is going to be thrust upon us and there's been no warning. I completely agree. I think sometimes we're the architects of our own downfall and can talk ourselves into something. I had a very interesting conversation with a team leader today, in fact, about that exact thing, not, running around suggesting to the clients that the sky is falling, because when you do, you tend to create a future. But what Mark Whitby said was true, I think, was that, we've all got a responsibility, be it for a business or a team or a desk, to really think about not just the here and now, because maybe now is great. Okay, fine. No one can find candidates. We've got loads of jobs. But, 6 months time, what's that going to look like? And there's a lot of data out there that is suggesting, like you said, James, that we are going to go into a recession. But also from talking to people, from looking at some of the statistics on, again, just the UK labour market recently, other little investments that I think changes that have happened, COVID that's happened. I'm wondering if we're a little bit more battle hardened than we have been previously, and whether we're looking into this recession in a bit more of a strategic way, strategy focused rather than sort of panic focused, how we've maybe gone into things in the past. And I think that's going to be a big difference. I don't think we're going to panic. I think panic produces knee-jerk reactions to the market, which aren't always the best commercial decisions to make for your business or your desk. So I'm thinking the next 2 or 3 months is the best time to have this conversation with yourself, with your team, with your business. Even if you don't want to, you can.
Yeah, and you don't want to be known to. You don't want to be seen to be the naysayer or the doom monger in some respects. But I think one of the expressions, and again, this is a well-worn expression, but very apt today. The best time to fix your roof is when the sun is shining.
Yeah,
and I think it's all about planning and preparation. So I think the mantra should be preparation, preparation, preparation. Because if you plan for the worst, hope for the best, then hopefully things won't be as bad. And if you do the planning and preparation, you can start to look forward with your team to some of those things. Now, a lot of people think, might be thinking, well, surely we're in a boom market at this moment in time. God, there's a candidate shortage. There's more jobs than there are people. Again, all the labour market stats seem to sort of indicate towards that. But things are gradually tightening up, and other global factors are sort of having some impact on the market. So it's all about planning. If you plan for something that doesn't happen, well, that's better than not planning and something does happen. So I think that's our point here. But I think when a lot of recruiters have felt, well, the last 12, 18 months, as we started to come out of COVID and then through COVID, wow, boom. But there's all that pent up demand, wasn't there? There's been such a slowdown and then such an injection of activity The reality is most people think, well, hey, listen, hopefully everybody made some hay while the sun shone there. Again, to use another one. But basically, we've got to make sure that, we do start to think about what you need to do. And what struck me in one of the conversation pieces I was listening to last week, as I mentioned with Neil Carberry, was what they're saying is you can't just do nothing. If you keep on doing the same thing, then you're going to get caught out. And part of it is about getting really, really close to your clients. Yeah. And that's all about, making sure they understand how much you care. Because as the old Zig Ziglar saying goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you've got to look after your clients. And it reminded me, because obviously, Joe, you can tell I'm old enough to this wouldn't be my first recession, it won't even be my second. I'm not even sure it'll be my third, it might actually be my fourth. But anyway. I was telling a story the other day when I was talking to my UK team back in 2010, and you know what's happening then? That global crisis come out of it, and I think they all thought I'd gone a bit mad because we were doing it was a start of year kickoff launch meeting, rah session, in a tough time, and the slide I had up behind my head was a big red heart. It wasn't Valentine's Day, by the way, and they thought, oh, here he goes again. What's he off on one? And I said that means love. You have to love your clients. You have to stay really close to them now when there's nothing for you. Yeah, because if you don't stay in love with your clients, if they don't know how much you care, then when things come back, and they always do, because what goes down must go up and what goes up will come down, all that type of thing, then if you're not close to them. So again, this message is being pushed out as well. And I totally agree with it. It's about showing your clients how much you care at this moment in time in the market. So you've got to do things a little bit different. Think about what your service model is.
I mean, that's another massive thing, the whole service model conversation, which we'll come on to in a minute. I completely agree about the whole client thing. The problem when you're in a market that doesn't have many candidates is you're not servicing your clients. You're not providing a good service because you're not providing them with candidates, which brings me to two problems that I've got with that. Firstly is there are more ways to provide a good service to a client than just funneling CVs through into their inbox. If we think that that's the only value we provide to clients, then we need to start right at the very, very beginning of this conversation, really, which is more about what is it that you provide for your clients. And if you're only contacting your clients when you've got CVs for them, over the last 12 months, probably even longer, we've probably gone from over communicating with them and being all over them in COVID because we were petrified there was no jobs and we had to get over them, to now, I reckon, probably 8 to 12 months of leaving them alone, probably leaving them too alone. And we've not done that for want of trying. We've tried to get them candidates, but we've probably not provided the best service that we probably could in the last 8 months. So I reckon we're already running a client advocacy deficit before you've even started. So I definitely agree with you. I 100% agree that you need to be looking after your clients. Now, people are going to be listening to this saying, well, that's fair enough, but we still can't find any candidates. It's not all about the candidates. It's about the relationship. It's about the conversations you have with them. It's about the insight you give them into the market. There's additional consultancy services you should be providing and could be providing, which we're going to talk about in a minute, because that's part of our kind of bulletproof battle plan for being in the recession. But this whole idea of looking after your clients is great. I think people need to really think about what does great service look like and how can they start to add a communication plan in place for the next 90 days so they can build up the communication with their clients. But secondly, from a commercial point of view, James, I don't think it's wise or savvy. The recruiters now try and go hell for leather, running around all their clients, providing this amazing service when I would imagine somewhere between 30 to 50, if not more, % of them will reduce or stop recruiting. Now, I'm not saying all businesses are going to stop because I don't think they will. As you said before, we've just come out of COVID. I don't think that businesses are particularly fat as it is. So I don't know, A, if there's many redundancies to make, or B, I think a lot of businesses are still going to have to make hires, particularly strategic hires. And again, we're going to come on to that in a second, for your own business, strategic hires for your own business right now. But businesses will still recruit. There will still be vacancies. Your clients will still be recruiting, but not all of them. And not all of your clients are great clients anyway. So I sort of explained this to a client the other day because they're the same. And I congratulated them. I said, look, at least you're having these conversations within yourself as a team of what do we do over the next 6 months. One of the conversations that I was having with them is, look, you need to start looking at your clients and looking at which ones, commercially speaking, are worth you investing the most amount of time in now over the next 3 months. So imagine in 6 months' time, a horse race is going to take place. All your clients are the horses. This is existing laps, people you've not worked with for the last few months or whatever. All your clients are the horses, but you've got to put your bets on now. and I'm going to give you a week to decide who to bet on in a race that's going to start in 6 months' time. What would you do? We study the form. Okay, fine. Translate that back into the recruitment world. How do you study the form on your existing and lapsed clients to decide which ones you think is worth you investing your time and effort in over the next 3 weeks? So I'd say certainly qualify your clients, commercially qualify your client base. Look to see if you even need to do business development, because you might need to. I don't think there's ever a time to not do BD, to be fair. Again, best time to do BD is when you think you've got loads of clients, because it is better. So commercially qualify your clients. And then once you've done that, come up with a commercially astute, effective communication plan that's going to help you to build that relationship and future client advocacy. And I know we were going to talk a little bit about that, weren't we, James, as well, about having sort of forecasting conversations with your clients now to find out what their plans are for the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, and what you're saying there, Joe, one of the points which I think is really important is having those. For example, I've got nothing to talk to the clients about at the moment because either I haven't got candidates, as you said, or different. But I think it's about being honest and having a grown-up relationship with your clients and says, listen, I know it's tough at the moment. I can't find candidates. I know you might be looking for some, but you don't want me to promise you something I can't deliver. So I think a degree of honesty to talk about the situation and then bring that conversation around. So listen, we all know, and you talk about strategic planning for ourselves, but also talk to the client strategically about what is it they're looking to hire. Over the next year, do they see a slowdown? Yes, no. All the things that are happening out there in the world. Wars in Ukraine. The long-lasting tale of Brexit and all the things that go on with there. What's going to happen in the UK, for example, with the government? Obviously, people will be in different parts of the world listening to this, so they'll have their own situations as well. You've got to look at all those things and say something's going to happen. So it's about talking to your clients on a consultancy basis, rather than advocacy basis, but having a relationship with them, a discussion with them, say, okay, listen, here's how I want to help you over the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months. I want to be there. I want to be there for you. And what we're going to talk about is about saying, how do you build that model that says, the client appreciates what you do. They'll retain you for what you do, because having that relationship with you is going to be worth more to them than not. And one of the future guests we're going to have on the show, probably in September, a company we've been working with, Joe, for the last couple of years, who've done a lot of business using our platform, and what they've done is they've gone out there and established those relationships. Now they didn't do this because they were thinking about recession, but I'm just adding on to this particular one. But what they did is they built a value proposition that made it easy for the client, well, the now client, but it was a prospect, of course, to say yes and actually buy all of their recruitment from them. At certain level. And we talk about MSPs, managed service provider contracts, mini RPOs, whatever you want to call about them, and putting some of those into place. So the client has got you on retainer to go and deliver that service. And there's some very interesting models that you can put out there. It's about making it a cost-effective model for the client so they can see that particular piece. Now, again, just to make you all aware, if you want to sort of download our battle-tested plan, you can do so.
Is it going to come along here?
Yay!
There it is.
Magic happens. We did it with no hands. It wasn't so we're just the mouthpieces talking that piece there. But please, if you want to download that, do go so there for some extra hints and tips, and also to find ways to sort of connect with us and actually sort of we'd happily have a consultation with you to talk you through what some of those plans are. But Joe, let's carry on with some of the things we'll talk about.
Let's talk about from a business point of view as well. I think one of the things that businesses need to think about strategically is the markets that they're in as well. And are these markets recession proof? What degree are they recession proof? Are they maybe running too close to the bone? Do they need to maybe think about restructuring the niches that they work in, or maybe going into a couple of complementary niches to just give themselves a bit of a buffer zone? I'm a massive fan of a niche. I think that not having a niche and working everything everywhere kind of leads to lots of problems. I do think also as well, when you know that you're going to have less vacancies, what you tend to do is to start making your market bigger. I think you can do it strategically. I think businesses need to think about doing that. What I also think they need to think about doing is the fact that, yes, you are going to have to do business development over the next few months. Yes, you are going to really have to get into your candidate networks. I mean, if you're not doing this already, then you absolutely need to. Only 20% of the market is actively looking for a job at any given time. And at the moment, what I'm certainly seeing, because I speak to tens of recruiters every single week, all across the globe, all doing different things. And James does the same. One of the things that I'm noticing is that there are more candidates starting to come onto the market. What I'm also noticing is a lot of the people that I'm training is we're saying educate the market, that the market is better than they think it is. That whole law of attraction. If you think you're not going to find any seashells on the beach, you probably won't find any, because your belief produces your behaviors, and behaviors produces actions. So I do think that it's completely possible and plausible for you to start regenerating candidates, get into your networks, start having conversations with people who are going to be open-minded to a move. I think the next 6 months is going to be a critical time for people to move, particularly those who are being squeezed and now unhappy post-COVID. Grant Thornton did a piece of research. 36% of people going into COVID delayed resigning. Now, have we seen those people come out of the woodwork yet? No, I don't think we have. Again, other pandemics or global or local crises have kind of got in the way, I think. But now is a great time to get out there and start building your candidate network. Will that help you to have market insight and know what's going on? Yes. Is that great information that your clients are looking for? Absolutely. So again, it then gives you more information and insight to take to your clients when you're having this conversation with them. So as businesses, I think you need to think strategically about your market. So then you need to think strategically about your staff. What is it that you're going to be asking your teams to be doing over the next few months? What's the role that they're going to have to take on? Because if you've taken them on over the last 12 months, it might be more candidate resourcing than BD. Do they know how to client manage, client retain, client develop? Maybe not. So you've got to think about your staff. Might be a case of just strategically restructuring the job roles of what people are doing. Make sure that they're then skilled up. So look at your training. They need to be skilled up. They need to be motivated. So that's about making sure that you communicate this plan to your organization as well. There is definitely something to be said for communicating what your plan for the next 12 months is to your staff. I think it creates a bit of a you're all in it together kind of feel. Plus, it's massive transparency and it's leading from the front. So, I mean, obviously we're trainers, so we're going to advocate get training for your teams, but don't expect them to go into battle if they are under-equipped and under-trained. But if you're not going to do all this stuff we've already spoken about, James, you're not going to know what to train them for because you don't know what the battle's going to look like, do you?
No. So yeah, I think in terms of that education process, I also want to talk about the education process of the employer. I think, just to carry on, I think it's really important to bring your team along with you. And as Joe, I was talking to one of our clients, Joe, they employ about 85 people, 85 recruiters, and they've already started this process. You may probably speak to one of the same companies as well as the smaller companies who are looking at through. But I think this whole point is, our clients need educating because at the moment, what's coming back, and I'm feeling a lot of this, is that, because the name of this show is the Retained Recruiter Show. And it doesn't matter which way you look at it, that's our focus. That's what we help our clients deliver. We help them deliver a better, more viable solution. Now, does that take a bit more time than peddling a CV? You bet it does, yeah? And what's everyone saying at the moment? I don't care, just send me the CV, the clients. But I think you do have to challenge your clients and say, listen, you can have the CV as fast as you like, but at the end of the day, if you haven't put in a methodical process, which is going to help you reduce commercial downtime, so you don't keep running around chasing, like a headless chicken. So reduce commercial downtime, improve your new employee retention rates. Because if you don't do the hard work, and what I mean by hard work, if you don't put the right selection process in place, you will hire the wrong people. Yeah. And you're paying over the odds at the moment as well for that type of thing and the mistakes. I was talking to one of our clients in the US, and they just hired. This is 2-3 months ago. They'd hired somebody from Google. 7-figure salary package.
Wow.
Lasted 3 months.
Yeah,
because they went, oh, Google, they must be fantastic. Well, they probably are a fantastic person, but the wrong type of fantastic for what they need. So you got to look at, you got to help your clients understand that if you take shortcuts just because you're being driven by the market and this candidate won't be available tomorrow, you're going to make the wrong decisions. And ultimately what we do is we help clients reduce clients by employers. We help employers reduce their overall cost to hire because we put in place a more thorough process. And the way you do that is to retain them. But it takes a little bit more time. But sometimes you've got to slow down to speed up. And that's what the process is. And this is all about showing your client where you add value. So, we've spoken about this before. Sometimes, is our job as a recruiter just to find a body that's warm and breathing? Or is it to find a person who's going to make a tangible difference in that organization?
Yeah, and stay in that organization.
Absolutely. So you've got to sort of actually go to that one and think about this is what we do. We've got to help you do that, and to do that, you need to have a professional service. I can run around as fast as anybody else and I can find your CVs. And that's my objective, of course. But the phrase we use here at iIntro, we've got a methodology and a process which helps our clients make more informed hiring decisions because we use multiple data points, multiple layers of scientific and objective assessment, which help employers make the right interviewing decision and make the right hiring decision. And so you've got to ram home that message because it may not stick right now. Everyone's too busy chasing, and the process is a bit too slow, James. Joe, it's too slow to this. I just need to get the CV in there because if I don't get it in someone else, well, you've got the wrong relationship.
Yes, exactly.
Balance that relationship. As you said earlier, Joe, not all relationships are good relationships. If you've got a bad one, look in the mirror. It's your fault. So we've got to sort of pick up on some of those points as well, I think.
That thing that you just said then, I think is really important. So we, if you remember last week, I have such bad short-term memory loss, but hopefully you can remember this as well. So we were coaching a particular business owner last week, and we were having this conversation, and it came up in conversation that they didn't think that over the next 6 months, if a recession hit, businesses would be interested in buying services retained from a recruiter. And actually, because there won't be as many vacancies and stuff, do you know what? It doesn't matter how you cut it. Some people will always think it's a bad time to sell a retainer. Other people will always think it's a brilliant time to sell a retainer. I mean, obviously, we're 100% converted now. We preach to the church of the retainer. So, we sort of said to him, look, conversely, if you've got a business that's having to work really close to the bone, there is a recession, they've still got to continue to build their business because they're probably sort of post-COVID trauma and still not hitting their targets. They're going to have less money, time, and energy to get this wrong. They're not. You can't afford to get it wrong when you're in a recession. You've still got to make strategic hires. So finding those businesses that still want to make strategic hires, but that are open to making sure that they put all of the right checks and balances in place to ensure that they do it in the right way, so that they get the right people in the business who stay, who enable the growth of their organization, and don't spend all their lives, sifting through CVs from 15 people on a PSL.
Yeah.
And there's never been a better time to close your clients for exclusivity and retainers. Because part of that, as you said, James, we're going to get onto sort of additional consultancy services, because filling jobs for clients isn't the only way to make money from a business. But actually, when you're starting to work with your client on a consultancy basis and advise and educate and show them the market, then actually every job's fillable, providing it's a fillable job. We have to think outside of the box now, don't we, James? We've got to think. We have a more flexible working model than we ever used to. So are your clients taking advantage of it? Of relocation, global talent mobility, train and deploy? Is there a way that you can help your clients with this kind of stuff? These additional services that mean that you're not just putting heads in jars, you're enabling the growth of their business through the acquisition of talent, whatever that talent needs to look like for them at this point in time.
I think, Joe, we've got lots of ideas. And if people want to find out how to recession-proof their recruitment business, they should book a call with our team at www.retainedcall.com. God, you're magic at that, Joe. From that side of things, and I think there are so many things in there. There's it is always going to be a great time as long as you're planning for it. In terms of, if you don't plan, what's going to happen in the recession? The people who've been making money, and by the way, not everybody's been making money. I mean, some people have had a tough period coming out of COVID, but we know a lot of people have had some good times in doing that as well. And it's about saying, well, listen, don't waste those good times. Make sure you are putting in planning and think about it. It's always one of those things to put yourself in the shoes of the employer.
Yeah.
What is it that would make me deal with a recruiter? Is it fastest finger first? Someone who can get the fastest CV or resume on my desk as quickly as possible? Well, for some clients, that's all that counts. But those will be on a downward spiral because they're always going to be squeezing fees. And then they're going to be, when the candidate shortage flicks on the candidate shortage appears, where it's a little bit tougher. It's quite tough to get at the moment. But in terms of those people who've been squeezing you, then it'll come back, and you don't have to deal with those. You can choose to deal with clients who respect you for the service that you deliver. So I think it's about building up the barricades and also having the confidence. And that's what I'm saying, because you're probably highly confident at the moment. You might be listening to this, oh God, I don't need to do this. I don't need to worry about something that's 3-6 months away. Well, 3-6 months away.
You do.
You do, because it'll be here as soon as you know it. And now, as I said earlier, the best time to fix your roof is when the sun is shining. So now is the time to put in that place. Talk to your team about that and make sure you've got an account management plan that says, this is who we're going to talk to. This is what we're going to say to them. We're just going to educate them on the process. Tell them, we're here for them. Make sure they know that you love them. Make sure they know how much you care about them. Because when things get tough, when you put in your call, you want them to answer it. You don't want to be the person who says, oh God, it's that recruiter company again who keep on harassing me, because your calls get taken, and that's about building strong relationships, and advocacy is one of those things. Think about Joe, you mentioned, I'm sure you got some other points to add on to this one, but you can do other things outside of recruitment, which are going to help there, because when you're delivering a consultancy service, in terms of, and retained recruitment is part of that, there are just other things that come through in terms of helping them with the onboarding, the team building, the leadership reviews,
interviewing, selecting, onboarding, all that stuff that they might not have in place, or a very good one.
Yeah, Joe, I was on a training program this morning. It's interesting, talking about certain degrees of and elements of the psychometric side of things. We're talking a lot about EQ on this particular one, but again, one of the tools we use, how that can add value to an employer, is we generate amazing interview questions, that you just got to customize and tweak them a little bit to put them in front of an employer to help them interview better. Because again, the expression we often use in training, most employers are not very good at interviewing, and they interview the CV or the resume. They don't actually interview the person because they don't know what to say, they don't know what to ask, and they also don't know how to ask for help on that one. And so our job is to give them the help. We proactively go there and say, when you're interviewing, what we've discussed, these are the big challenges. This is how you need to establish whether these candidates can help you deliver that particular level of service or whatever it is that they're looking to achieve. So again, a lot of the process about having that methodology to help your clients, then they start to see you in a whole different light. And that's why we say, people who are our intro recruiters, we call them management consultants who specialize in talent acquisition by delivering an array of consultative services to help the employer make the right hiring decision. And that's what we're really trying to do, isn't it?
Yes. And if you don't know what those consultancy services are, then ask your clients. Which is a great way to start a conversation with them. What have you thought of our service over the last 12 to 24 months? What could we be doing better? If we could give you any additional services, what would they be? You decide then if you want them to be revenue generators, so you want to charge for them. If you want them to be added value services, so you don't charge for them. What you do is you leverage future client advocacy before that. So, your clients and your candidates know what they want from you as a consultancy. So ask them. There's no point us all sat here second guessing it. So I think do a piece of research, go out to the market, ask your candidates and clients, bring that back to your business. And then we've got a brilliant comment in from Plowman, actually, which is going to bring us to our next point, because it says, just think for a moment how we all felt in March 2019. Feels like about 27 years ago now. When the world shut
March
down.
2020, does he? It means March 2020.
March 2020 will be 2020. Yeah, in 2019 we were all, living life to the max. What would you do if this happens again? Now, what's interesting is that we've been through a global pandemic. Not many of us have ever lived through that. Prior to COVID, thank goodness. A couple of us have seen, 17 recessions, like James O'Brien, who's old as the hills apparently. But if you haven't seen this, then it will have come as a complete surprise to us. But what I think it's done is it's helped us to grow, and it's enabled us to be stronger, and it's enabled us to start putting contingency plans in place for when things happen. And I think we can take that. Brilliant comment from Plowman. I think we can take that and we can learn from it, which is, let's not all sit here blindly, like you said before, James, waiting for it to happen and then panicking and going, I don't think this was ever going to happen. We can't sit in denial at this point. If it's coming, it's coming. It's better that the business has a contingency plan and then it doesn't happen. And the worst thing is you've just made better friends with your candidates and clients than to sit in 6 months' time thinking, crikey, I wish we'd have had that conversation earlier.
And that's the key point, Joe, I think, and that's preparation. And as Paul puts that, how we all felt. Listen, we all felt pretty bad at the time, because nobody knew, and that was a shock. Now, this next one isn't going to be a shock. So this is the point that Plummer's making, I think, is how are we going to feel? Now, we're not going to have that shock tactic at this particular time. So it would just be, well, you can stick your head in the sand and oh look, it's early 2023 and there's a recession. When did that happen? I didn't see that one coming. Well, where have you been? You haven't thought about it. And then you sort of, you're trying to backfill and, do things that you should have been doing, by which time it's too late because your competitors have snuck in and actually stolen a march on you. And you can't afford to do that. So it's all about, we talk a lot, Joe, as well about focusing on the Dream 100, for example, that Chet Holmes, the ultimate sales machine, in terms of focusing on less clients. Less is more. But about servicing those clients and letting them know what you really do well for them. Of course, BD can be a bit broader than that, of course, but actually starting to look at that account management plan and sort of, making some active or taking some active steps to make sure that you don't get left behind when something happens. I say if it doesn't happen, fantastic, we'll be delighted.
Yeah, exactly. No one's lost anything, have they? What's that famous phrase, James? If you concede the bandwagon, then you're already too late.
Yeah.
So if we do this session again, which we will do, we'll talk about this again. But we're like foreboding now that if you're doing the session with us in 6 weeks' time, a lot of what we're saying is, look, if you've not been doing this already, then you're probably a little bit further behind your competition. And, you don't have to be the best recruiters on the absolute planet. It'd be nice if you would, but all you've got to be at this point is out of the blocks faster than your competitors.
Yeah.
And
what I'll probably do, Joe, is I'll probably get Plowman on in a couple of weeks' time, maybe, and get into sort of expand, because I know he loves to talk about this topic as well. One of the things that we looked at 5-6 years ago in terms of the changes that were happening in the marketplace, and all the people looked at, well, you're crazy, but obviously shifts do come and go. So anyway, if you want to book some time with us, as it says there in the link, please book a call with our team at www.retainedcall.com. But we're just about coming to the end of this week's show, Joe. So thanks very much for sharing that. We're not going to see you for a few weeks, Joe.
No, I'm not going to be here. I'm running.
You're busy doing some other things. Yeah.
Yes, our new recruiter.
Yeah.
Boot camp, which is very exciting for our clients. Yeah. We're bringing in all their staff because they're still recruiting. Let's keep going. Yeah. And then, yes, I am off on a holiday after that. So iIntro has allowed me to leave the business for a period of like 3 weeks. I'm not going to know what I'm talking about by the time I come back.
You will. You'll have some global viewpoints, or inputs from where you're at. So listen, have a great holiday. In terms of, but I'll see you back here in a couple of weeks, everybody. But thanks very much for watching. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Have a good summer, everybody. Yes. Bye.